Call to order the Ascension Parish Council meeting for Thursday, August 7th. If everyone would please stand for the prayer and the pledge led by Councilman Kluwat.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, as we continue into the hurricane season, Lord, please look over the people of Ascension Parish and all the Gulf South region. Lord, once more we ask you to ask everybody, look into their hearts and look around to the others that do not have what they have, and the ones that will need help in the times of need. Lord, it's with heavy hearts that we ask for the prayers and special intentions for some of the Ascension Parish members. Miss Wanda Myers, Mr. Calvin Bro, Mr. Colby Lambert, son of Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Lord, get them past their time of need and bring them back healthy. Lord, last but not least, we ask for special intentions on the Bourgeois family for the recent loss of Mr. Milton Bourgeois, the Meir family, Gonzalez, for the recent loss of Mr. Donnie Meir, and all the Temple family for the recent loss of Mr. Lucien Temple. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Randy. Roll call, Madam Secretary. Please note that all councilmen are here with the exception of Councilman Dempsey Lambert, who is taking care of his son, and we keep him in our prayers, as Randy mentioned. Chair's additions. I do have a couple of things on the agenda before we get to 3A. One is we are going to be passing on item number 11. And in its place, I would ask that we had a request from our CAO, Mr. Ken Dawson, who I believe spoke with everyone today, about a request to add this agenda item on this that's in front of you regarding the hiring of legal counsel for the solar project.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Kluwat. This has to be unanimous. Is there any objections to adding it? Okay, hearing none, that passes, and we will put that on as number 11. With that, we'll move into item 3A, which is the election of a council chairman. The chair will open up the floor for nominations.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Johnson.
At this time, I'd like to nominate Councilman Kluwat for chairman.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion to nominate Councilman Kluwat on the floor. Is there any other nominations?
Motion nominations be closed.
Nominations are closed.
Second.
Second. And with that, Mr. Kluwat, the chair is yours. Congratulations.
I got to go get the coffee. First of all, I want to thank my fellow council members for your vote of support. And I'm going to try to run a meeting with respect to everyone up here and everyone that reaches that podium right there, all the people in the audience. And with that being said, I want to thank Councilman Lohr for his tenure. So let's get on with the meeting. Item number 4, public comment period. Anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item, please check in with the secretary, and you'll be given time to speak when that comes up. We'll move to number 5, Parish President's report. Parish President has nothing. We'll move on to committee recommendations. Personnel Committee, Mr. Todd Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did meet and to fill a couple seats there on Zoning Board of Adjustments. We had 2 applicants. First one was Mr. Aaron Lawler.
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Lohr,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passed.
Second applicant, Mr. Devin Graham.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
motion by Mr. Kent Shake Snyder, second by Mr. Lohr. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes.
On them two, we had 2 applicants and 2 openings, so didn't
Okay.
have to score and rate anything on that.
Okay.
Next thing, we were asked by the Industrial Development Board to reduce the number from 7 to 5 because they have a problem sometime having meetings with 7 members. 5, they'd have a better chance of getting a quorum to have a meeting. So went through legal to make sure it was all correct, and the board did make a motion to reduce it to 5.
Make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr.
Second.
Johnson.
Ms. Terry.
Ms. Terry.
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes.
Stand in my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Todd.
You bet. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to agenda item number 7, Utilities Recommendation, resolution to urge the Public Service Commission to consider rejecting any request for an increase in rates by private wastewater treatment providers operating in the parish of Ascension that are currently in substantial,
It should be currently not
Non-
in substantial compliance.
currently in non-substantial compliance with LADO, Department of Environmental Qualities. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Utility Chairman Johnson.
As everyone remembers, last month we had a discussion on a resolution that was brought before the council and was asked for the Utilities Committee to take that up again. We have a, you want to do that now?
Yeah, I have a speaker. I just saw it. Mr. Rieger,
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we waive our opportunity to
please
speak.
step to the
Okay.
podium for the people out in TV land can hear you, sir.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. President. Members, Rob Rieger, Adams, and Reese. We withdraw our opportunity request to address you all at this time. Thank you very much.
sir.
All right.
Go ahead, Mr. Johnson.
So we went back to the committee, asked for any input from the rest of the council, and so we had some suggestions on rewording the resolution, and I'll go ahead and read it now. We made some changes that are pretty substantial, and then I'll explain some of the wording within it. So the resolution reads, whereas in order to protect the health and safety of the residents of Ascension Parish has initiated an aggressive wastewater treatment program to provide safe and cost-effective sewer treatment, and whereas the parish is responsible for ensuring residents are provided safe and healthy environments, and whereas the ultimate goal of Ascension Parish government is to maintain chemical, physical, and biological integrity of the rivers and streams and to restore local waterways so that our citizens will not be subjected to limited usage of our waterways due to physical and chemical impairment caused by wastewater discharge. And whereas many of the private wastewater treatment providers in the parish have not properly maintained, operated the systems over the years, which result in current noncompliance and unsanitary conditions that directly affect our waterways. And whereas there have been prior instances of private wastewater treatment providers being granted increased rates and not having reinvested those monies on improvements toward obtaining compliance. Now therefore be it duly resolved by the Ascension Parish Council of the Parish of Ascension that the Ascension Parish Council hereby recommends that the Public Service Commission strongly consider rejecting any request for an increase in rates by any private wastewater treatment providers operating in the Parish of Ascension that are currently not in substantial compliance with the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. Furthermore, should the Public Service Commission end up granting these rate increases, it is our request that they routinely audit these providers to ensure that these improvements are in fact being completed for the good of our citizens who would be paying these increased rates and for the good of our impacted waterways. One of the things we wanted to explain in the second to last paragraph where it says that are currently not in substantial compliance with the Department of Environmental Quality. We had Ms. Cheryl Nolan with DEQ come in to the meeting and explain to us what they look at as far as the different levels of compliance. Significant compliance is basically any company that's around 85 to 90% in compliance. So at routine times or surprise inspections, if you will, DEQ can come in and run some tests, and the companies are routinely required to run tests on their effluent streams. And those are what they are deeming as whether or not they're in compliance. So if a company passes these tests anywhere from 85 to 90% of the time, they are deemed substantially in compliance. What I will say is that in our conversations, there is very little chance that anyone will be 100% in compliance. There's a lot of environmental factors, whether it be storms or a large effluent of grease or something like that hitting a plant that could upset it for a period of time that would put it to where it would fall below certain criteria. And so that's what they were talking about when they say in compliance, because there's a lot of different definitions of what in compliance means and what level of compliance they are out there. And so we wanted to clarify that in this resolution to make sure that everybody understands what we were dealing with it. So with that, came as a unanimous recommendation from the Utilities Committee.
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. Joseph, second by Mr. Shakespeare. Any discussion? Any opposition?
Yeah,
Oh, I apologize.
yeah, I oppose it. I have an issue with, I understand if somebody's not in compliance, and then we want to force them to get in compliance, but they can't afford to do it. I have a problem with us saying now we're going to fight them from being able to get a rate increase that might allow them to get in compliance. I understand some may have gotten it and not used it right, but we need to look at ways to punish those guys and not anybody who may get it and then use it for the right things and get in compliance and better those things in our parish.
Point well taken. Any other discussion? Mr. Shakespeare.
Yes, it's the only thing, and I understand, I share your concerns, Mr. Malonzo, and it was one of the things that we do have some providers here that, from my experience, have put in for rate increases, has received rate increases, and has not spent the money on what they're supposed to. And my feelings is it's time to stop. It's time, we have good providers here that are doing what they're supposed to, and we want to see them being provided the opportunity to do what they need to do, but at some point in time, the parish needs to take a stance. We're responsible for the waters, and if that company does not put their money where they're supposed to, then the value of their assets is going to go down. They'll be forced to sell or do something, and somebody else will pick it up with some investment, and I think we'll be better off than people that are not going to invest in our sewer treatment plants in our parish. So I'm past the point of working with people that's not cooperating. So I think the people of this parish deserve better. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Any other comment? Yes, Ms. Cazzo.
Yes, while I had serious reservations about the initial resolution, I'm satisfied that the rewrite directs its attention to those who have been in noncompliance. And so I agree with Kent that it is time to put some serious consideration into having some impact on those folks who are damaging our waterways and our ditches. And it is our responsibility to do that. And while I certainly am not ever in favor of government overreaching into the private sector, I'm satisfied that this resolution is appropriately worded, and I can support it tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll brush up. We have a majority vote. I don't think we need a roll call on this. Yes. We do? Yeah. Okay.
Councilman
Roll
Lohr.
call, Madam Secretary.
Councilman Lohr.
Sorry? Oh, yes. Not used to that, sorry.
Councilwoman Passo.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Joseph.
Yes.
Councilman Todd Lambert.
Yes.
Councilman Brian Malonson.
No.
Councilman Satterley.
Yes.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
Yes.
Councilman Turner.
Yes.
Yes, have it. Passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You have anything else?
That'll do it.
All right. We'll move on to agenda item number 8, resolution declaring the intention of Ascension Parish, State of Louisiana, to issue not to exceed $60,000, $60 million of its taxable utilities revenue bond, providing for certain terms of said bonds, authorizing the application to the Louisiana State Bond Commission for approval of said bonds, approving notice of intention, appointment bond counsel and financial advisor, and providing for other matters in concern therewith. Mr. Ryan, you have something that you need to read.
If y'all, you may want to adopt it first, and if you do, then I've got to read a little public notice for you real quick.
Motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Benny Johnson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes.
Okay, the public is hereby notified that the governing authority will meet in open public session on Thursday, September 18, 2014, at 6 p.m. at its regular meeting place located at the Courthouse Annex Council Meeting Room, 828 South Irma Boulevard, second floor, Gonzales, Louisiana, for the purpose of hearing any objections to the proposed issuance of the bonds. If a petition is presented to the issuer at that open and public meeting duly signed by the electors of the issuer in a number not less than 5% of the electors of the issuer voting at the last special election or general election objecting to the issuance of the bonds, then the bonds shall not be issued until approved by a vote of the majority of the qualified electors of the issuer who vote in a special election held for the purpose in the manner provided by Subtitle 2, Chapter 4, Part 2 of Title 39 of Louisiana Revised Statute of 1950. Any such petition must be accompanied by a certificate of the Register of Voters of the Ascension Parish certifying that the signers of the petition are registered electors of the issuer, and the number of the signees amounts to not less than 5% of the registered electors in the issuer that voted at the last tax election within the issuer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item number 9. Change order number 004 for capital construction, Oak Grove Community Center renovations and additions for additional days only. Ms. Martha.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Mr. Mike Moeller was not able to be here. He asked me if I would present this to you. It's strictly just a change order for time. They're adding 57 days. That was due to some material that did not come in time. We'd ask.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Lord. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passed.
Thank you.
We'll move on to agenda item number 10, resolution to authorize a permanent change in polling place locations.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Lord,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to the added agenda item number 11, to authorize parish president to hire legal counsel to represent the parish concerning the Lamar Dixon Solar Project, and to assure that the parish will obtain the best possible rates and terms from Entergy, and to authorize parish president to sign all contracts and agreements.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms.
Castle.
Ms. Cazzo, second by Mr. Shake Snyder. Any discussion? Mr. Dawson, do you want to come up and?
I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to speak to all of you today over the phone. And basically, this just allows us to have an opportunity to have legal counsel that has expertise in a particular area to talk about the issues regarding the solar power project we have at Lamar Dixon, and allows us to get the maximum benefit from the negotiations of the position that we need to take. And that's
What kind of anticipated price tag you got on that? We know the parish president's limits.
what we're looking at is a maximum of 15 or 20 hours at a fee of $175,000 an hour. So the goal is just to have a legal counsel to meet with us initially before we have a meeting with our PSC commissioners and Entergy on the 18th.
And based on state law, this is special counsel, so we got to come in.
Yes,
This
absolutely.
has to be passed.
Randy?
Yes, Ms. Cazzo.
Yes, Ken, I want to commend you and the parish president both for seeking expert legal advice in this area. I think we are aware that utilities regulation is one of the most complicated areas of the law, and certainly we need to go into that meeting with the best advantage that we can get. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
I just want a quick thank you because we do have some opportunity for improvement in that area out there. Lamar Dixon has been since we purchased it.
Thank you.
Any other
Congratulations.
discussion? Any opposition? Motion passes. We'll move on to introduction of ordinance. Item number 12, introduction of an ordinance to amend the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinance, Chapter 9, Finance and Taxation, Section 9-5, sharing of sales tax revenue between the parish and municipalities generated by annexed properties.
Motion to introduce.
We have a motion by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Ms. Kazler. Any discussion? Any opposition? That motion passes. Move to public hearings, ordinances.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to move item 13 to the next council meeting.
We have a motion to defer to the next council meeting.
I second.
By
I think I need to
Mr.
read the ordinance and then extend the public hearing to the next meeting, because we've advertised
Okay.
for the public hearing.
So you have to read it, O'Neill?
Yeah, let me read it. And then you can move the motion and extend it to the next meeting.
Please go ahead.
This ordinance amends the official zoning designation of Jarrett Street's property from conservation to light industry. The rezone is identified as zoning ID 2418.14 for Jarrett Sheets, whereas Ascension Parish local government subdivision is defined by Article 6, Section 44 Louisiana Constitution 1974. Whereas the parish of Ascension is the governing and responsible body over the zoning and regulations within the jurisdiction. Article 6 of the Home Rule Charter of Ascension Parish, adopted May 4th, 1993, identifies the process and manner in which to adopt ordinances regulating the lands of this parish. And whereas the official zoning map for Ascension Parish was last adopted on March 10th, 2014, whereas the parish council reserves the right to make changes to the official zoning map by ordinance, the request has been processed in compliance with the procedures set forth by the Ascension Parish governing authority. The official zoning map of Ascension Parish is amended to reflect the property identified as Exhibit A as light industry as the official zoning designation. In the event any portion of the ordinance is ever held to be invalid or unconstitutional for any purpose or by any court of competent jurisdiction over it, such portion shall be deemed separate, distinct, and independent provisions and shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of the ordinance. The effective date of this ordinance shall be in full effect as permitted by law. The exhibits are the legal description, the plat map, the aerial and zoning map. This ordinance had been submitted for a vote. The vote thereon was as follows.
Motion, open the public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a
Well, you had the motion.
motion to defer.
But you still got to open it.
open
You still have to open
Okay.
it and ask if there's any
Motion by
speakers in the
Mr. Todd
audience.
Lambert to open,
Second by Malonzo.
second by Mr. Malonzo.
Motion to close.
Motion closed.
Second.
Wait, I thought you
Yes,
were
second.
moving it to, I thought we had a motion to extend it to the next
No, hold on, we
meeting.
were just doing the public hearing.
Okay.
We're gonna get to it on the next item.
So
All right. We ready to,
you got a motion to close in a second.
we have a motion to close in a second. Close.
And a motion to defer to the next
We have
council
a
meeting.
motion
Second.
by
You
Mr.
need
Turner
to
to
extend,
defer.
you can't
Motion
close
to
the public
extend.
hearing. He wants to keep the public hearing
Point of
open. That's what
question.
I'm advising.
Oh,
But
okay.
y'all have closed the public hearing. That's not what the councilman was asking. for.
rescind.
Can't re-advertise for the public hearing?
Hmm?
Can't re-advertise for a public hearing?
Then you'd have to redo the whole thing again. It's
Okay.
easier just to extend it to the next hearing. It's up to y'all. I'm just advising if you want to have a public hearing next time, and I think that's what Councilman Turner had
Yes,
asked.
we'll do the public hearing next time.
Okay.
It's an extended public hearing.
So you have to
So we don't
rescind that.
Rescind the last
motion to
motion,
close.
yeah.
Okay.
So motion to reopen the public hearing?
Well,
Yes, you closed it, so you got to reopen it.
okay.
Yeah, motion to reopen by Mr.
Second.
Turner. Second by
Malonzo.
Mr. Malonzo.
Motion to extend the public hearing to the next council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Turner to extend the public
Now
hearing
we get that straight.
time till next council meeting, second by Mr. Shakespeare. Any discussion? Any opposition? We clear, council? It will be extended. Make sure it's on the next agenda. Before we move on to agenda item number 16, I want to thank Officer Denby that come here and take care of us, the guys that set up, and about 16 staff members that are making this meeting tonight. We appreciate it, and we'll move on to number 16.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Todd Lambert to
Second.
adjourn. We have a second by Mr. Benny Johnson. Any opposition? We are adjourned.